Well, my name is Abdullah Al-Shamari. I'm majoring in health information management, and I'm from Saudi Arabia.
So my name is Ben Sampanit. I'm 32 years old from Thailand, and I'm here right now at Arkansas Tech University studying master degree in psychology. And this is actually my second master degree. My first one is from the UK, Lancaster University, psychology of advertising, master of science.
Family. I mean, the first thing comes into my mind when you say homeland is family, friends, and food, of course.
Home, basically, to me right now, as of now, home would just be the place that I can have my favorite food, and it's the place that my father's, he's still there, supporting me, working his ass, just to make sure that I'm comfortable here.
Well, I mean, for international student, homesickness is like almost everyday routine for us. So, well, I feel homesick. Well, it's like this the strongest feeling I had of homesickness is when my sister had her first baby. I've been here for 6 months at the time, and I was still learning English back then in 2018, early 2018, and that was being away from my family, and all my family would gather together to celebrate the newborn, and it was hard for me being away from my family, but I mean I made it through. But I mean homesickness is like every time you think about your family or your friends, you get that feeling that you want to be there, you want to be with your family, and I mean just sometimes you're just kind of used to it.
Thai food.
Thai food.
Yeah. Seriously though, I mean, last semester I actually count that. Okay, so for the cafeteria, how many times did they serve us mac and cheese? 37 times. 37. And chicken and herbs, around like 14. It was like, damn, stop with this mac and cheese. Yeah, seriously though, Thailand, Thai food, tourism, that's our signature. Yeah, I miss Thai food. But then I think we have like the Mongolian something that they just had this iron huge pan. It doesn't suffice. The only thing I miss so far is Thai food at this point. Yeah.
The biggest culture shock I faced here was, back in Saudi Arabia, we're a conservative culture, conservative people, and here in America there's no limit. I mean, or their limit is way higher than ours, and the culture shock is, I mean, for me was how people dressed. The language itself was a cultural shock. I came here with barely knowing anything in English. I mean, I could only know the basics, and being here, how the system works here, how people dress, how people talk, how people even eat. It was all new for me. So that was all a cultural shock.
For the language barrier, to be honest, I actually practicing English for 18 years just to mastering to this level. So language barrier is still a problem in the US, especially when you have to say something or try to communicate with those in the southern part. Because here I'm studying here at Tech, but I also have a transfer in Dallas, Texas. I don't understand the southern accent. I don't get what it's saying at all, and it took me like for the counter here at the airport like 10 minutes just to understand, just try to familiarize with their accent. I was like, oh yes, ma'am, yes, I understand you now. 10 minutes at the airport, Dallas airport, yeah. So even though I practiced English like for 18 years, the moment I spot with this southern accent, I have no idea what's going on.
The most common mental health problems that international students face are probably very similar to domestic students. The top 4 reasons that students come to counseling here are stress, anxiety, depression, and relationship problems. And we see those with all of our students. But I think there are some additional things that are going on with international students that make it a little bit more difficult. And so things like stresses related to academics. I see a lot of pressure from students who are here to do well and to study in certain areas that are important to them or their family or their culture. Communication styles, of course, just using a second language has to be really stressful. Constantly reading something in another language has got to kind of wear on you eventually. Being away from home can also lead to feeling isolated and depressed. So I think those are some additional things that international students face.
Well, the things I do when I feel homesickness, probably FaceTime my family, text them, and because I play a lot of video games, I play video games with my friends all the time, and we can talk and chat and what happened here, what happened there, get our news and everything. And that's how I overcome my homesickness.
And what do you do when you just feel like I miss Thai food? Do you cook it?
This room? No. It's impossible. Because, you see, I'm 32 years old. It reached to the point that the Americans just, I think they taught us idioms like, just suck it up, deal with it. I was like, sure. And I actually use like listening to music, anything to distracting myself from hungry. That's it. I also just have like those toys and some video games online mobile games, just to avoid my mind thinking about having Thai food. Because Thai food here sucks as well. It's not recommended. Sticky rice? Nah, no.
So international students, when they feel homesickness, there's a lot of things that they can do, and I'm going to refer to my list because I have a little list of things. So first, know that it's normal that at any given point, if someone's away from home for an extended period of time, they're going to feel homesick. And so knowing that it's normal and that you're not alone. Sometimes you look at other people and think, oh, everything's going great for them. But a lot of times we don't see what's going on the inside. So knowing that this is a common experience and other people are feeling it can sometimes help us. Finding someone to talk to, whether it be another international student that's a friend, or a faculty member or a counselor, just not keeping it to yourself and being willing to talk about it. Finding some spots that feel comfortable for you, whether that be a spot that you study or a spot at a coffee shop, just somewhere that you can go that feels like your space, that can become kind of a feeling of home for you. Keeping in touch with home. Of course, technology is wonderful now. We can find ways to connect back home, and I know that that's something that would be important to do. Do things that remind you of home. Cooking foods that you loved or that your family loved. Sharing some things maybe about your home with a friend can keep you connected to home. Trying to stay positive. I think you have to acknowledge that it's hard and you can't pretend that everything's just fine, but also finding something every day to be positive about so that you don't get in that negative state of mind. And then recognizing if you're homesick, that must mean that you love your home. You have love there, and that's a good thing. Our feelings can tell us something, and so that feeling just tells you that you have love, and that's a good thing, and it's not something to worry about. That just means that you love someone or you love a place, and that it's okay. And then never forget how brave you're being. I can't imagine being an international student traveling across the world and studying. So just recognizing that in yourself and being proud of yourself that you're willing to step out on this adventure and do something that's really new and exciting, and think about the payoff that you're going to have eventually when you get that degree.
To avoid my mental health problems when I'm here in the US studying graduate programs, I listen to heavy metal, death metal, and thrash metal. I actually order CDs right now. They should arrive soon. The band called Vector. It's a speed thrash metal, and the other would be the band called Death. Those are my favorite bands. I just listen to all the Strongs. People would say it's just basically just noise, but I was like, this is pure music to me. So I listen to this violence music. That's what the parents said. But to me, it's just like, this is actually release my pheromones or something like that. It makes me happy, makes me calm as well. And also, because my roommate here, he's a game design major. So I have an opportunity to see something new, like the animations, games, and other stuff that's actually helped me relax or staying away from depression. Yeah, anything away from depressions, 2D, 3D anime girls. Yeah, awesome stuff.
Well, there are certain things I do to avoid feeling homesick. I mean, I have a lot of stuff I brought from back home, as you can see. And I mean, being in Russellville here hasn't been that tough for me. There are a lot of Muslim Arab students here who we speak the same language, and we gather most of the weekends. Being here, I mean, I brought some foods from back home, like Arabic coffee, and I mean, I cook, so cooking and, you know, being with my fellow Saudi students here have helped me a lot. I mean, through the years I've been here.
I think a mental health problem is when it's just beyond everyday difficulty. So you've heard of probably people saying they're feeling down or feeling blue or they're in a bad mood. That's normal. Everybody experiences days like that. But if it's consistently happening, so if, you know, almost every single day they're feeling down and discouraged and hopeless and helpless, and they can't see, you know, it getting better, usually that's more of an indication of a mental health problem versus just somebody that's really having a hard day, or maybe something bad happened and they're struggling. That's normal. But when it's persistent like that and it's happening for days or months, then I think that would then be more considered a mental health problem.
Technology, of course, helps. I mean, without technology, I wouldn't have been able to communicate with my family through the time I'm here. So yes, technology helped me a lot.
My father didn't even know how to use all this line FaceTime. We just call, and I can only just hear his voice. And the conversation is kind of short. My roommates noticed this. I only talk to my father every Friday, because in Thailand and the US here, there's time differences, 13 hours. Thailand's just kind of far ahead of us. I talk to him in like 2 to 5 minutes every Friday. That's it. And yes, my father had a huge impact on me. The reason is that because there's two of us left. My mother passed away with leukemia. My big brother died from a heart attack, and also the fact that our family, in reality, we should have like six members in the family. There's just me and my dad so far. The other two just miscarriage. It reached to the point that I'm not sure if I have a mental breakdown, but I still manage. And my father is the only person right now that actually tried to re-stabilize me to be a person.
International students can keep their mental health well-being far away from their families and homes in several ways. So they could join social clubs or groups and get involved with things on campus. There's a lot of opportunities for students to find a good fit for them, something that relates back to their hobbies or something they're interested in. There's a great website for students called The Link. It's thelink.atu.edu, where students can see a listing of all the university clubs and organizations that they can get involved with. Considering meditation or prayer, spirituality and self-care can be really good for students and very helpful in whatever that means to them. The Health and Wellness Center has a biofeedback lab here on campus, and that's a relaxation room where students can go and meditate or take a nap or do yoga. There's a lot of options in that room to learn some self-care and some relaxation skills.
Well, my dreams for my future, that's also a big question. But hopefully I'll finish my degree here and maybe get married, I don't know, and go back home and be with my family.
My one dream right now, I want to buy a Harley Davidson Sportster 883 and just ride around the US. That's why I have a motor right there.